long before Pete Townsend destroyed it and Jimi Hendrix burned it, Les Paul invented it, the electric guitar. He's the Thomas Edison of recording, an electronic renaissance man whose influence reverberates every time someone clicks on the radio.
I was working at a barbecue stand way back in 1928. They said, he's not loud enough, he's not loud enough. So I just took my mother's radio and took a telephone, broke it in half and took the part with the mouthpiece on it, and I sang into it, and it went into my mother's radio and out the radio, and everything was fine, but they couldn't hear the guitar. So it was time to take my dad's radio, take the other half of the telephone, stick it under the strings, amplify the guitar, and then the tips went sky high, and of course here I am with an electric guitar on my hand to shove in the face of the whole world, to torture all the people that like good music.
Lester William Pulsipus was 13 years old when he played that barbecue stand in 1928, headlining as Red Hot Red around the local speakeasies, and dubbed the Wizard of Waukesha when he invented the first harmonica rack. Always with a box of tools, his electronic tinkering began to set off sparks.
A lot of people frowned upon an electric guitar.
Is it true that the Gibson people didn't want to make your guitar?
Oh, it was more than true. From 41 to 51, I heard nothing from Gibson except they wished that I would quit playing that thing.
And then Bill Haley and the Comets hit with something called Rock Around the Clock, and music, as well as the guitar, would never be the same. Meanwhile, Pulsipus's musical vehicle now became the Les Paul Trio, reaching international stardom. But his real legacy was being built in the garage out back his Los Angeles home, where he invented multi-track recording, close miking techniques, and the first direct-to-disc recorder.
Now, this has a history to it.
Well, this is the key to the whole thing. This little mixer that we built in our garage, and this was our monitor speaker. This is it, and a tape machine that Bing Crosby gave me, and that was it.
The Rolling Stones wouldn't be able to get by with just this.
No way.
This?
Yeah, this is a flywheel from my dad's car, one of his old junk cars. He was in the garage business. And this is a 50-cycle motor running at 60. And a paring knife from my mother's kitchen. And it's on a lead screw. And this come out of my grandpa's barn. And that.
So this really is homemade?
Yeah, it's homemade.
But you didn't tell us what it does. What is this?
It's a cutting lathe.
And it cuts the grooves into the
Cuts
vinyl.
the grooves into the vinyl, and I made, for instance, Lover, Brazil, Caravan, Nola, How High the Moon was made on this machine right here.
Les Paul's home is half Radio Shack, half Smithsonian. At the age of 76, he rummages for new inventions amidst relics of the past.
This is it. We called it the Octopus. It was named the Octopus by W.C. Fields. Anyway, this is the first 8-track created in 1953, and we finally sunk this mother in 1956.
What about this console over here?
Well, that console was married to this 8-track machine in this transport here. And this was the first one to come out with this idea in mind, where you can assign anything to any track. So this was the beginning of the new world.
In 1950, Capitol Records put Paul's technology to the test, releasing the first multi-track recordings. He was unstoppable. For the next year and a half, he was hospitalized. A car accident had shattered his right arm and destroyed his fingers. Following extensive rehabilitation, Paul was back to work and formed what was to be the most important collaboration of his career.
Where there's heaven, how high is the moon? There is
The Les Paul and Mary Ford duo would string together hit after hit, tour the world, and star on 170 network television nights.
Not only was she very pretty, not only was she a wonderful wife, but she was extremely talented.
Was she, or is she still the love of your life in many respects?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. If it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have invented all the things I invented. I don't think I'd been. You have to be happy, and you have to have a reason. And she encouraged me very much to do so many of these things.
In the mid-60s, Les Paul and Mary Ford split up, and he dropped out.
Put the guitar away from 1965 to 1980 for all practical purposes, and maybe touched the guitar once in 10 years, and just tossed it out.
Flattened by heart disease, his fingers too arthritic to move, he asked himself what he enjoyed most over a career that predated the Great Depression.
There was no question in my mind that I was going to beat both the heart condition and the arthritis, and I'd do it. And learn to play the guitar all over again.
How long did it take you to master this new technique?
I haven't mastered it yet, but I see the light.
Lightning is more like it. His guitar runs make superstar rock heroes goggle, turning out more notes per square fret with 2 fingers than they can with 5. Back home, he and his son are constructing a new in-house studio. He's writing an autobiography, re-releasing a CD collection, just signed a new 4-year record deal with Sony Music, and his original lifetime contract with Gibson doesn't allow a single guitar to hit the assembly line until he personally approves it. And by the looks of this bedroom, Gibson may be just a little bit behind.
I just made an agreement with Gibson that anything that was amplified, that had a pickup on it, that I was to get X amount of dollars for it. And if it had my name on it, I was to double that amount and whatever. And it was quite a lucrative contract.
I did a number with Bing I would like to do. See if you remember this one. This one was...
One might look at Les Paul taking command in this tiny sweatbox of a beer joint as a sacrifice, something that one is reduced to doing at the twilight of a career. But that's not the case. Les Paul does it for himself and his best friend.
The guitar is such an interesting instrument because it's the greatest bartender, housewife, mistress, cook, psychiatrist that you could ever find.